This episode is sponsored by iTunes. Go to www.cheapseatreviews.com. Click on the iTunes button, purchase anything you want, and a small portion will go to this podcast.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheap Seat Reviews.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheap Seat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good. This is episode 92, and today we are talking about Kung Fu Hustle.
Yay! Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh, yeah.
I am Sean Allred, and joining me tonight is Chad. Objects in knife are closer than they appear. Evans.
Yes, that is correct. I am here with honor. Thank you. Thank you, Sean-san.
Thank you, Hui-sung.
Is that Japanese? Son? Isn't that Sean's son? Wouldn't that be Japanese?
I'm pretty sure if we go down this road, we're going to offend a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And you know it's coming.
Yeah.
You know it's
yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
Cornelius, don't put out my hair fire with alcohol, Logan.
That was hilarious.
Alcohol makes everything better except for hair fire.
Except for hair fire.
As I drink my beer.
Yeah. And Sam, you're still a fairy vector.
Oh, well, my interruption kung fu is better than your podcast hosting kung fu.
That's very accurate.
I'll allow that.
Yeah, that's actually very true and accurate. So yeah, this is Kung Fu Hustle, the legend, the myth, the movie, the 2004 Kung Fu Hustle. Chad is here once again to provide us with what is Kung Fu Hustle.
And again, it is my pleasure and honor to be able to read the introduction of this movie. Some people may know this from the 2004 original title Kung Fu, but I'm pretty sure that got confused with the TV show. So will go ahead.
That has nothing to do with the actual intro.
No, it's not. All right, here we go.
Chad is setting the scene for us.
I am setting.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank
it's
you.
artistic. It's artistic stuff. Sam, you wouldn't know anything about that.
Right.
In Shanghai, China, in the 1940s, a wannabe gangster aspires to join the notorious, quote, Axe Gang, unquote, while residents of a housing complex known as Pig Street or Swine City or something like that exhibit extraordinary powers in defending their turf.
Super fantastic power.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
And
Thank
your
you very much.
soundboard there. We got the gong show going on over there. He's
I
got his
love
own
it.
applause.
It comes across well. You know, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I actually, not bad. Thank you, Chad, for that read. So this is 2004's Kung Fu Hustle. It is directed by Stephen Chow, written by Stephen Chow, starring Stephen Chow and a bunch of other people.
Chow. Was he the Chinese one?
He was the Chinese one. He also directed...
that is not incorrect.
He also starred in Shaolin Soccer, which he also directed. So this is kind of his thing. He was a huge Bruce Lee fan growing up.
Apparently.
Yeah, he made multiple references to Bruce Lee in this movie, and not with just his attire at the end, but throughout the movie as well. And we'll talk about that later. So, Chad and Sam, you two had not seen this, correct?
Well,
That
I've
is
seen
correct.
scenes of this. I remember watching this partially on my DVR,
Okay.
but it was dubbed.
Right. So we broke our rule. The rule was that we would not do a movie that was over 50% subtitled.
It's
And
because Sam can't read.
it's because
What?
it doesn't make for a good podcast. Honestly,
No, it's hard to pull.
It's hard to pull clips.
Clips and
and
and Sean likes his clips.
and I do like my clips. As obvious as this is.
Oh, I feel like a Power Ranger.
I like that, and that wouldn't have the same effect if it was overdubbed or if it was subtitled. Some guy screams that, and then anyway. So, however, when we had committed to this movie, I knew that it was overdubbed in English. They show it on FX like every other weekend, and
That's where I saw parts of it.
I've seen this movie probably 6 times on FX, whatever, and it's always overdubbed. And the overdubbing is actually pretty good.
It's hilarious.
It actually is, but
it makes the movie even better, I think.
I think it does too. So when I said we're going to do this for this movie, I just assumed that Netflix would have that version. Well, they didn't. So by the time we realized this, it was kind of too late to change movies. So we went ahead and watched it for the movie anyway. So I did do some clips, and hopefully they are not too offensive.
Oh, did you now? By the way, folks, if usually your statement starts like that, it is completely...
Yeah, it's already too late.
I think I was tasteful, and I'll let you guys be the judge of that.
Like as this movie is tasteful to Chinese culture?
No. What I'm doing is actually I can't even describe what I'm doing. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But what this movie is paying tribute to an idea, I think.
Kung Fu.
Yeah, and
The
all of
Kung
those
Fu movies we love.
all of those silly kind of kung fu movies from the 60s and 70s. Like that's what this movie is kind of paying tribute to, along with other different comedic styles and stuff like that. So my point was, we got to get back to on track though. Chad and Sam, you two had not seen this, right?
No, not all the way through.
That is correct.
Not
Great.
to the end.
So this will be really interesting because Corny and I both have seen this several times.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be an interesting contrast and whatever. So Chad, your initial thoughts?
Yes. My initial thoughts on this film, I started watching it and I was like, this is dumb. This is really, really dumb. Why am I watching this? And then all of a sudden, the guy gets thrown out of a window and a flower pot lands on his head, flower intact. And I'm like, that's freaking funny.
And then the guy goes up to him and like pokes him, and he just
Pokes
goes,
him with a stick.
"Go
He's
away,
like, go away."
leave me alone."
That's when that was when I got hooked. And then the chase scene.
Oh my god!
And then it was like, oh, it's on.
Yeah.
I had to watch the rest of it. It was that for me. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was hilarious. It was kind of I thought of it like a cross between not Jackie Chan, but it was
It had kind of similar humor.
it did have
physical
that kind of humor.
of Jackie Chan.
Right.
But I mean, it was. You didn't have the one-liners of Jackie Chan, which was good because I always hated those. They didn't make much sense, mainly because I think they didn't include articles in the sentences. But that's beside the point.
They just naked all the time.
Not articles of clothing. Go to school.
He teaches. Which is bad.
That's what's wrong with this world.
Right. It's teachers like Sam. He's
So,
he's a business economics teacher. He's not taught to teach English.
No.
Jeez.
I
Or
done
not
say
paid
English
teaching.
done well, yeah.
You done your English good, right?
I done did English in college. I
learned
that.
it.
Yeah, you got to learn at that. But I liked when they started bringing out like the special moves because it was like, great, now we're watching Dragon Ball Z.
There it is.
There it is.
Yep.
Hey, do you have the?
Yeah.
I want
Thank
an
you.
audience track for me too. It's no fair.
This is not.
Hey, by the way, do you have the audience? Ooh, whenever something bad happens.
Well, you maybe.
Oh, jeez.
Never know.
I don't like this at all.
Next week, I'm gonna do it from my house, and you're gonna hear nothing but
Sean
just
has
rock
lost
bands.
complete control over his podcast.
Again, when did he?
Control is only an illusion.
Yes. But overall, I think that
You kids shouldn't play so rough. Somebody's gonna start crying.
yep. And all these are actually from movies that we have seen before. So
But that's not from Iron Movie. What movie
Yes,
was that
not
from?
this movie.
What movie was that from?
that was from Reservoir Dogs.
Was that what that was?
Yes.
Okay.
Harvey got
Anyway, the only thing that would have made this movie better was if Chuck Norris was in it.
Yeah.
Because, Chuck Norris can light a fire by rubbing 2 ice cubes together.
You can. You can.
And now I'm done.
Okay. I saw a bunch of the great Chuck Norris ones. They were really good. I appreciated that. Corny.
Well, let's see. So, gosh, this probably made my 5th or 6th time seeing this movie, and it's still funny. Every time I see it, it's the same level of funny. So I'm very happy that this makes me chuckle continuously. I thought I might have an axe to grind since I'm on this podcast. And thank you very much. No, but it holds up.
Yeah.
I get
allow
that
that.
one.
Thank you, Chad.
Thanks, Sam.
I always know my pun is good when it takes about 5 additional seconds for it to kick in. But no, I like Chad. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I mean, granted, I've seen it before, but this is the first time I've seen it without the English dubbing, and it's still just as good. As a matter of fact, I actually like the dialogue better in this than the English dubbing. So, I don't know. This is a worthwhile movie to watch at least once, just because it's hilarious.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no. I think what made it better if I could have gotten actual Kamehameha just to happen one time.
That would have been pretty great.
I mean, he went back like he was going to do the Kamehameha, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh. I got a little goosebump pop up and said, oh.
And so, or somebody should just scream for 20 minutes in the movie.
Well, the woman did.
Kind of did.
That's
The
true.
woman did, but it was her weapon. That was kind of her own little Kamehameha or death beam or whatever.
I did like the speaker, the amplification.
Yeah, through the bell. That was clever.
bell.
Yeah.
And then she kicked it in a high gear, and like it had like a shock, like a shotgun, and and it kicked that guy back, and he was tore up from it, man. That hurt. And then he had to be all cheap with the little rows of death. Sam.
All right. First time watching the whole movie.
Still very
I actually started this movie trying not to use subtitles. And
yeah, we saw that.
Yeah,
You were immediately told that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I was like, that's a bad idea, dude. You need to know what's happening.
And the funny thing was, when I finally turned them on, I kind of pretty much guessed the story, except for the whole landlady being totally evil. I thought she was going to be evil the whole time. But anyway.
I kind of did too.
I really enjoyed this film. If you're going to the movies to be intellectually stimulated, this is not the film for you.
Douchebag.
But this film will make you laugh. You could be in the worst mood, and I was in a pretty bad mood when I started this, and I ended the night with a smile. This was hilarious. I love the physical gags. I love the characters. You actually start kind of getting interested in all these different characters that are in this movie. And the hairdresser that kept getting slapped, just that running gag that he just kept getting slapped, it just cracked me up. The what you call it, the tailor that was flamboyant, was fairly hilarious.
When she said, "But you're still a fairy," he runs with his arms flailing, and he's wearing red underwear. It's ridiculous.
And then, but the strangest thing to me was the the main, I guess you could call him the main character, the guy who kind of had the hero's journey in this film.
Stephen Chow.
His little friend, his fat friend.
Right.
Did that not remind you of Hot Fuzz? The relationship.
He kind of he looked like him.
Yeah. And he looks exactly like him.
Yeah, a little bit.
I
think, but actually dumber.
Oh yeah,
because dumber. At least in Hot Fuzz at the end of the movie, he pulls a shotgun out and is there to save the day. You know, Fat Tub of Goo guy was just.
He just jiggled.
He was like, I don't know what he was, but he was fairly useless.
He worked in the candy shop.
Because we all know.
I can't tell you how much I was laughing at the relationship between him and the deaf girl or the mute girl.
Right.
Yeah.
And how horrible he was to her. Yeah. Absolutely horrible. And then at the
obviously
very
they were
end,
in Detroit.
Funky Tory.
1940s Detroit.
And they peed on the kid.
Right. Yeah,
what the heck is up with that?
I don't know.
Detroit.
Yeah, it's just...
But I love this film. I thought it was a heck of a lot of fun. I can't wait to talk about some of the moments within this film with you guys. Sean, how about you?
This is probably my 4th or 5th time seeing it. I've seen the final fight scene probably 8 times. You know, I can flip it on FX, and it's when like he's opening the door and he comes out, and I'm like, oh, cool, this is their best part anyway. So then I just stay and watch the fight. So I've seen that fight scene a bunch of times. This is actually the first time I had ever seen the intro where you've got Asian Harrison Ford beating up the police station, and then the Axe Gang shows up. You know, showing that the cops made a deal with the Axe Gang to get rid of these guys. So that's a trope, right? Mm-hmm. Enemy of my enemy is my friend. Only then you turn your friend into an enemy, kind of a thing. I don't know. There's a better way to explain that trope, but I think this movie's hysterical. It's fun. The kung fu was genuinely awesome in this movie. If I was allowed to do so, it would be in my top 3 kung fu movies.
I agree.
I really genuinely really like this movie a lot. I have a lot of fun with it. When I first saw this movie, Chad, I was kind of like, because I think it was the same thing. Like the first, like most time when I see this movie, it's right when. Stephen Chow is trying to blackmail the hairdresser, so I missed some of the little intro part, and that whole gag where like I'm gonna fight each and every one of you, but one at a time and no cheating, and then he tries to pick the weakest people out there, and it's like he finds the old lady who like almost kills him with one punch. Oh, let me get the skinny guy, and he stands up and he's like 7'4". No, not you. Sit down. You. Old man, and he turns around and he steps out of the crowd and he's ripped like Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, not you. I meant the kid who turns out he's ripped like Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, not you. So like all of those gags, I remember thinking like, is this supposed to be a comedy? Like what is happening? So I wasn't ever really sure what was happening, but then the chase scene happens with the cartoon legs.
Yeah.
And then
I love that.
And then I go, okay, now I know what this movie is. And I am all in, because the beginning of the movie is
very kind of serious.
It's super serious, you know. Like
absolutely.
He beats the crap out of that
spitting
cop.
on a guy, and
he spits on the guy, and then he kicks hot steaming water that was on the floor for some reason, and then he goes outside, and then the X Gang shows up. They kill all his henchmen
from nowhere.
He gets his foot chopped off. He gets hacked to death by Bad Teeth McGee, and then. She's like, please don't hurt me. And he's like, I don't kill women. And then she walks away and he shoots her in the back.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, this escalated really fast.
Yeah.
So I guess my initial impression is that I like this movie a lot and I'm excited to talk about it. But this is just me. And I think, Sam, you and I are probably the quote unquote, I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe you and I think are kind of the history kind of nerds of the 4 of us, but maybe you other guys are too.
No, I care not about history.
We all play Axis and Allies some, so maybe a little bit, right? But at one point I'm sitting here going, man, if this was like in the 1940s, Stephen Chow, he could probably just kick the Japanese ass himself. Like, how did Japan even invade China? Between him and Ip Man, there's no way they should have won. There's no way that Japan should have ever even gotten.
That is true.
You know, like
You get all those guys together, especially the two with the harp thing.
Oh my
and
gosh, yeah, you can just pay them to be good guys.
Oh my god!
They go kill a bunch of Japanese dudes, man. Like
kill a
they
bunch of Japanese.
They would never win anything.
They woke up and they get over there and is that guy just? Oh, he's decapitated. He just decapitated half our army with a G cord.
Right.
A damn G cord.
It was a power cord.
It was a power. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, nice.
there you go.
There you go. Yeah, that's the best I can come.
And
up
here's
with.
my question: why didn't more people not know this? Like if somebody walked up and they did that to somebody else, I'd be like, I want to know that. Teach me how to do that.
Right.
Whatever it takes. I want to know how to do that.
Yeah, can I do
Actually,
that?
I don't think I want to give Chad the ability to kill people with music.
Can I do that with my clarinet? Like, what can I create with my clarinet? You know, or
And stab somebody with it.
right, Sam. Your middle name was actually. I was trying to find a way to be creative with like your baritone or your tuba
Yeah.
or whatever. You know, like instead of like sword wielding skeletons that were gonna come out, it was gonna be like fat lederhosen wearing Germans with sausage coming out of your tuba or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, this is the greatest night ever.
I kind of hate you a little bit now.
I don't know what to think.
I don't either.
What would Joe Pesci do?
He would curse at Chad right now. That's what he would do.
You think that's funny? You think that's
In a
funny?
very high
For my
voice.
entertainment.
I would pay someone to go over to Chad's house and kneecap him with a tire iron.
I don't know. Survey says
Give Chad a soundboard, and this is what happens.
So dangerous.
Yeah. Once again, proving that Chad really is.
the devil.
Yeah, see, he said it himself. So.
We've always known.
Yeah.
Damn you, Chad.
So I told you, I said to you guys, I've seen this movie several times, but this is the first time with subtitles. So I never knew that the little place that they lived in was called Pigsty Alley. But again, I've usually never seen that intro part anyway.
Lovely, referenced as
Right.
styling.
I did really like
Detroit.
Yeah, Asian Detroit.
That was the original dubbing.
Oh, Asian Detroit.
Yeah, it's in the trivia.
That's the non-politically correct version. I like the jazz music throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
It was
I
really
did too.
It
It's
was
very
like
Americanized. When was this made, John?
2004.
Okay, interesting.
Sorry, I've only said that like 6 times.
When was this made, John?
I'm not telling you again.
Speaking of the music, I like and going back to the guy that with the they were shooting like swords from his guitar there. Guitar for those.
I love that you said Guider because there's like 4 of us that get that joke. Thank you.
So he's like shooting swords from this, and the music is saber dance, and so he's like having to dodge all these actual swords, and
Oh
and
my
I'm
god!
just cracking up.
I never picked up on that before. That's so clever.
Is it really?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
I never picked up
About
on
a guy
that.
named Kachaturian.
Yeah, that's hysterical. There was
Is
a
he
lot of
Chinese?
You can download that off of iTunes,
With-
and if you go to www.itunes.cheapseatreviews,
or
that'll help
something.
everybody out.
Something like that.
Go back to the beginning and listen to that.
Wasn't the chase scene, the cartoon feet chase scene, wasn't that like Flight of the Bumblebee or something similar like that too?
Yeah, it was similar. I didn't really catch it though.
I can't remember. I thought it was, but I don't remember. But I remember like laughing hysterically at that. Not just the fact that he's got knives in his arms and he's using them as a rearview mirror. Like the guy stabs him one time and then he pulls the knife out and he goes, oh, sorry, and he puts it back in.
But his reaction of actually being stabbed again, he was like,
Oh, it hurts. Oh my god, it was hysterical. And he threw a handle and hit her in the face. And she's like, who's throwing handles? Like she knew immediately what it was. It was hysterical. And then he dropped the snakes on his face. Oh, you should whistle. It makes them music calms snakes right down.
Are you sure?
Right on his face.
Right on his face.
Jeez, that was hysterical. Oh my gosh, this movie.
Okay, so we all
Seriously,
love this
guys,
movie, but
You have to go see this.
Yeah.
If you've not seen this, you have to go see it.
yeah,
This makes up for the
I
month
do have
of
one
October.
complaint,
Okay.
and I had to come up with one.
All right.
Some of the visuals are certainly computer generated.
A
Like-
lot of it.
overly bad physics computer generated.
I think that's part of the point, though.
You think so?
Yeah, I think the whole movie is supposed to have kind of a silly cartoon feel. Like when he walks up and there's the soccer ball and he kicks the soccer ball and he starts doing soccer moves, which of course is a kind of nod to his own movie, right? That's obviously a computer generated ball.
Because for him to be able to step it flat like that would
Right, yeah, it's obviously not real.
Yeah.
And like when the guy falls out of the apartment complex and bounces around, he's bouncing like he's Stretch Armstrong. But
Yeah.
it like to me it all felt to the character of the movie that it was supposed to be kind of campy like that. Like when he's fighting the twin guitar wielding guys and they punch him and he floats like a feather. Like that's obviously not real, and he looked all weird and bendy. But like, I kind of felt like that was the charm of the movie. So
I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, obviously this movie will take you out, of reality. But sometimes I felt like it was.
I'm gonna ask you this point.
Too
Vince.
CG.
I'm gonna ask you this, Sam. At what point were you in reality?
Yeah. Well, at the beginning. In terms of the police station.
All right, when the first guy gets punched to the ceiling and then falls down, that should have been the sign that, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not.
Well, I mean, he just got thrown over the balcony. I mean, that was very I
was seeing the cop that's right outside the chief's door.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we don't get magic until we get the guitar wielding dudes anyway, right? Or is that
right.
after the weird chase scene?
That was after the weird chase scene.
Yeah, so the weird chase scene is obviously the first moment where we kind of get magic-ish. So I can kind of see where you're going with that, Sam, a little bit, and I guess because I've seen the movie all the way through a bunch of times, it doesn't bother me. Because frankly, I think 11 years later, it still holds up because of its intentionality, I think. I mean, this was only a $20 million budget movie.
Yeah, so they didn't have Avatar type money.
Oh God,
to make it hyper realistic.
Right.
Yeah, but I think
at the same time, there was a few things like, what can I say? Like the foot stomping. I don't know. It just, it was cartoony, but to me, it took me out of it just a little bit.
Well, I think that if they actually made that realistic, I think it would have been. I think the tone of it would have been completely different.
Yeah.
And you would have had a lot more blood and gore, as opposed to if it being kind of cartoony, where it's like, oh, okay. I mean, it's not so.
Like
I guess violent.
Off and there's no blood there. You got a guy who's bludgeoned to death with an axe. He's not, he's not bloody.
Yeah, I think.
And there's a little bit of blood from here and there, but
yeah, I feel like if we went, like they went super realistic, then it's just another version of Ip Man. It's just another. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I think I might have made last week. I can't remember. I made the reference that this movie is to Kung Fu as what Scott Pilgrim versus the World is to video games. It uses video games as the vehicle to tell a kind of an interesting story, and they're kind of paying homage to video games.
But Scott Pilgrim, it never came across to me as cheap. I guess you could say.
But it's a bigger budget.
Well, it's probably a bigger.
And that's maybe why.
It's probably a bigger budget, and it's also American, but even some of the kind of the CGI effects in that are really cartoony.
But again, just like this movie, I mean, I think that's the point.
That's the point, yeah.
Yeah. Since I love my Scott Pilgrim, when you go through the movie, it's supposed to be, it's already a comic book essentially, and so you've got those things going on, little side notes here and there, voiceover here and there, and then I don't know, this movie does. I mean, yeah, this movie does the same thing for me that Scott Pilgrim does, but I think you have to go super cartoony, overly cartoony, for this to keep the feel that we have that we like to laugh at.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if it got too gory, it wouldn't work.
I mean, it was still rated R.
If they were shooting women in the back with shotguns the entire movie, it just wouldn't work.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I guess it's it's just a budget issue for me at least in terms of I think they could have spent a little more money on making it not look real, but look like it's part of the world they're in. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
but
Some of the effects
away
did not look like the world they were in.
But again, they live in a world where a dude turns into a frog.
Well, yeah.
So I'm saying, like that world where magic exists. I mean, what does that look like? It looks like whatever they want it to look like. I think if they had a $40 million budget, they would probably have the same kind of look. Maybe the sets would be nicer.
Think so?
Yeah, I think this was entirely intentional to have this kind of weird, kind of, kind of cartoon movie. They still would have done the weird animated feet and the, maybe they get a different couple of actors or something like that if you have a larger, bigger budget. For what it's worth, this movie, $20 million budget, made $100 million worldwide.
Wow.
It's the largest at the time of 2005. It was the largest.
How have we not seen Kung Fu Hustle 2?
I don't
There's
know.
a sequel?
No, there isn't. But
there should be.
Yeah, it should be.
With
But
that type of
what
money.
do you do? I mean, you've got
who knows? Yeah, maybe.
the end of the movie. He's training his nemesis, and that was it. I mean, that's essentially at the end of every Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, basically, yeah. He kind of is Goku. I mean, he kind of is. Only Goku never starts off bad.
Although he is sent to be bad.
Right, but as a child, he obviously loses that knowledge.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. I mean, the only reason that the Earth gets destroyed so many times is because Goku was there. So if Goku wasn't there, if he wasn't, the catalyst, we wouldn't have a problem.
Well, it's the same thing.
So in essence, he's the bad guy.
It's the same. Well, that's the Superman concept too. If Superman doesn't come to Earth, then neither do the bad guys. So it would be Earth would be safe if it wasn't for Superman. So I mean, it's kind of the.
I think bad guys come eventually, just because Earth is ends up being such an important part of the universe. So I think they should.
Have y'all seen the Facebook thing where somebody's trying to convince people that the Joker's actually the good guy?
Yeah, in the Dark Knight.
Yeah,
Sam's mentioned that on the show a couple times.
Yeah, I've loved that theory.
Where the idea is that he robs the bad guys. He then gets them to pay him half of their finances. He burns it. He gets most of their crew thrown in jail. He kills a corrupt judge, several corrupt cops, and the ones that aren't killed are brought to light. And then he unites a city under a banner of Batman.
He was the hero we deserved.
He's kind of the hero that they needed.
What do you mean he's the hero you need?
Right, yeah. Like he says he's an agent of chaos, but in those contexts, I mean, yeah, he did kill a lot of
Maybe he was
people,
chaotic good.
Yeah,
Actually,
no,
not at all.
No.
No.
I keep forgetting about these things until Chad hits a button. Because for like half a second, my brain freaks out. Like, what is my computer doing?
No, maybe he maybe chaotic neutral.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Every chart that I've seen always puts him as chaotic evil.
Right.
Oh, he's not chaotic evil. I mean,
in this time, but if he's trying to save the city, wouldn't he be chaotic good?
But the thing is, I don't think he's
for
trying,
the good. He's chaos.
I don't think he's trying to save the city. He's still trying to be an agent of chaos. I mean, I think that's even a phrase he says in the movie. It just happens to play out the fact that through his actions, there's actually some good that comes of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a side product. I don't think that was an intentionality. I think that was what's the phrase? The unintended consequences, whatever it's called. There was the something of unintended. What's the phrase? You know what I'm talking about?
The pathway
series
to
of
hell
unfortunate
was paid
events.
when.
No.
No, I know what you're talking about. It's
if you do a thing, but you don't realize the fact that as a result of your decisions that all these other bad things happen to your good idea or whatever. I can't remember the phrase. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that Kung Fu Hustle is awesome.
Yes.
I did like several times. Again, this is very cartoony, where the bad guys could change the weather. You know, like
Yes.
Yeah, they come over and it's like Lord of the Rings, where the shadow is cast on Mordor.
right.
And
Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit. You ready for your first clip?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I've been waiting for this actually the entire episode.
This actually is just I had to capture this. It just made me laugh hysterically out loud. So here you go. See if you can guess what this is.
what? Okay, do it again.
Okay.
Oh, that's the fat guy sitting down.
Yeah, well, he was already sitting down, but it's when he removes his jacket to show that
Oh,
he's part of the Axe Gang. You ready for this?
Yeah,
Yeah, there it is.
I love it.
I don't know how they created that sound, like if it's just like Jello in a container or something, but it kind of grossed me out a little bit because he did it twice.
I might have gagged a little.
Yeah.
Might have gagged a
A
little.
little bit. All right, you ready for this? All right, here we go. 21 seconds of this. Can't believe I did this. Here we go. So you want to fight? Great. We'll go one-on-one. Don't even think about cheating. The old woman with the onion. You look real tough. You want to try me? I'll let you hit me first. There you go.
I so desperately want Sean to
Thank you.
to read all of the whatchamacallits on these movies from now on.
Captions?
The captions.
Okay.
In like the computer, Hal the computer voice like that.
Oh.
Just completely emotionless.
Hey,
Well-
don't go back and do 13 Assassins again. Just have Sean.
Yeah.
Well, so my seriously, the intention was that I wanted to sound as normal as possible. I didn't want to try to overdo an Asian accent and come across as offensive. That was certainly not the. It might have been funny, but I was afraid they would come across as a little insensitive. So I just decided to do as white as I could be. So,
I think next time I'll take a shot at.
well,
Yeah.
again.
Yo, old lady, come over here.
I actually had emailed.
Or we'll have Ben Affleck read it.
Well, I actually emailed Angry Scotsman, and I wanted to see if he would do, like, if there were scenes where there were dialogue back and forth, and if he would be one part and I would be the other. I think that would have actually been pretty funny, but he unfortunately did not respond in time. So that's
I think
fine.
I actually might would have here. We should have had Ben and Sly Stallone and
All of our guest stars that have been on the
Yes.
show.
yes, I'm the old woman.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
All of
that
you,
scene-
shut up.
That scene still was funny. I wrote, damn, what a cool fight scene. I'm trying to remember what that one. Oh, that was the first real big one. When the team, like the three guys just show up and take on the
Yes.
gang. But there's a question that's never actually answered in the movie. And I want to ask this. I want your opinion. So the Axe Gang guy, he's about to light the woman and her child on fire. Again,
Nice guy there. Yeah.
Serves him right.
yeah, thus proving that Asian Detroit is a horrible, horrible place.
Well, with good food.
The guy gets punched and his back is broken and he's put in a trash can, which was hilarious. But he's like, my back is broken, and they don't know who did it. And then eventually that kid shows up. He says, I did it. Well, I don't think he did.
No, I think it's the lady.
You think it's either the lady or the landlord?
I think it's the landlady. I think she does it. She's usually the first to act.
Yeah, I think it was her too.
Yeah.
That was my reading of that scene, was that she did it.
Right.
Sorry, at least in all the viewings I've ever watched, I've always thought she was the one who did it.
Yeah, because she makes a big show that she runs upstairs and is under the blanket. But isn't the landlord still on the ground with the plant on his face?
He is.
Yes.
Actually, with also dirt
And
in his face.
dirt and manure that he kind
That
of
was
covers around.
manure, yeah.
That covers around himself. So that's why I kind of thought it was him. Because it's certainly not that kid. Because he and the other two are both really, all three of them are great kung fu masters, but none of them have magic like everyone else does. They were just really good kung fu. So that I like that fight scene. That's one of my, well, I guess actually all kind of my favorite fight scenes for their own reasons. But I did kind of get pissed at the movie, which I'm supposed to, is that these three guys are fighting magic with just their selves. I mean, that poor kid got his head cut off, and he had no idea that it was even coming. And I kind of was like,
I was kind of upset about that.
yeah, I was like,
I did, however, laugh when the cat got cut. In
yeah,
half.
I did too.
Cats are evil. They deserved it.
Yeah, I probably did.
So I guess this is the real. This is probably the closest we're ever going to see of the rhythm is going to get you.
No.
What?
No.
That old song from the '80s. No, okay. It's a great song from the '80s. You should listen to it.
But that fight scene though was still pretty cool, and
Yes.
you know, the landlady keeps like open the door, and they would stop playing, and then whatever. That whole gag was funny. Like, anyway. So then after that, we had this scene.
Brother Sum, we really want to be Axis. That's why we did what we did. Give us a chance. Ever killed anyone? I've always thought about it. Then go kill someone. I will.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, Chad. I like
This would be where I would push the button that says "I have the power."
Oh, I don't have that anymore.
I should have kept that one.
You should have kept that.
Well, you know, we do what we can.
You have that?
I will.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
You mean there you go.
Well, in that case,
Oh. Why did I get a cow? You just
Chad
pushed
was in the mood.
I reckon.
Oh.
you cheated.
Yuck.
Anyway, so they become Axe Gang members for some reason. I don't know. He can pick locks, which is kind of interesting. Whatever.
He can talk.
Yeah.
He can fly.
He's a flying talking donkey. A knife in the arm gag is like Ace Ventura 2. Still funny. I thought that was pretty great. Throw me a spear. Bink. Right in the leg. Yep. And then Spider-Man showed up.
In great power lies great responsibility. There is no escaping from it.
That's right.
Seriously,
Thanks, Ben.
You've got to dub all these. I love it.
Thanks, Uncle Ben. Now
Yep.
go make me some rice.
Oh, wait. Uncle Ben's right.
Ah, see,
Not
that's
racist.
that's
Not
that's
racist.
like that's getting you from like 3 angles.
Yeah.
Which
So it's
one
what
does
she
Chad
said.
mean?
Yeah, which race is... Yeah, which who's he insulting? The fact that Uncle Ben is black or the fact that he's cooking rice? I don't know.
You know, I actually have an Uncle Ben.
Do you really?
Yeah, actually makes me really happy to think about that.
That's actually kind of cool. I just have a crazy
I have
Uncle
I have an Uncle Bob.
I have crazy Uncle Steve. So
Sam?
No. Well, no, I have two Uncle Bobs. I have an Uncle Steve.
Do they own a
that
restaurant?
seems kind of confusing.
Yeah, and they're from the same family.
Oh, that's weird.
Oh, that makes sense. West Virginia.
I have 2 gay
I have
uncles.
2 Uncle Bobs on my mom's side.
Doesn't make
I have 2 gay uncles. I call them my gunkles. hilarious.
Gunkle. Are you serious, or is this
Yes,
something
he
you're making
does.
up?
Hilarious.
Oh my
does.
gosh! You actually
And
say
they are
that?
awesome guys, by the way.
Well, I would assume so. They're in Chad's family because it's been tampered with.
Oh, there it is.
Oh.
What? Sorry, I'm going through my notes and like I've already said a bunch of this stuff. It's like Weekends at Bernie's when the guy's kicking those 2 musicians' butts because he's just like leaning on them and they keep trying to fight him and he's just like leaning on them and it kind of reminded me of Weekend at Bernie's. I thought that was kind of funny. This is the only English line said in the movie.
What are you prepared to do?
And then he dies. And the guy says, "What are you saying?"
I don't know what you're saying.
That's what he says. I don't know what you're saying. Did you get what he said, Sam?
No.
Want me to play it again?
Yeah.
Yes.
What are you prepared to do?
I don't get it.
I actually don't know what he says.
I'm gonna get one last time, listeners at home. If you know what he's saying, you're probably yelling into your phones right now.
What are you prepared to do?
Still no.
What
That's
are
what
you
it's to
prepared
do.
to do?
What are you prepared to do?
Yes.
There
Okay.
you go.
Sam cheated.
No, I didn't.
I call.
Good job, Sam.
I call shenanigans.
Yeah, that's what he says. The great power comes great responsibility line, and then the guy says, "You don't understand," and then that's when he grabs and reaches him and he says, "What are you prepared to do?" And then he says, "I don't understand what you're saying." And then she says, "You're really hurt." Oh no! Then he dies, and then he screams, "Donut!" And then that's the show. That's what happens.
Well,
So he right. So then our hero, he gets hired to go and release the beast, right? Because obviously the X gang can't take care of the two masters, and then our guitar heroes. Thank you.
Guitar villains.
Yeah, guitar villains. Yeah, that's the anti version of Guitar Hero.
That's the one they play on Atari. They've upgraded Ataris, and
Right. So
no. Okay.
So then they have to go find the beast, which I have some interesting little trivia about that later, or maybe I don't remember if I captured it or not. But he goes and he gets them, and of course there's all kinds of really interesting little foreshadowing there happening, with the blood coming out of the door, which of course is a direct reference to The Shining.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
So then he gets in there, and of course he's the most unimposing dude you've ever seen, in his little pink slippers, right, in his bathrobe. And then he gets punched in the face, and he just laughs at you, and then becomes he's basically Vegeta, right? And kind of what he is.
Yeah.
He's kind of this little dude, bad hair.
I know not what you guys speak of.
Oh,
Well, that's a shame. Just watch DBZ Abridged.
Yeah.
No.
It's really seriously. You can watch
so
the whole.
annoyingly bad.
You can watch 50 episodes in like 3 hours,
Actually,
and it's hilarious.
I actually do want to do that one day.
Highly recommended.
I do too.
Right.
Muffin button.
So then that fight scene in the whatever, the casino, I thought was actually great, with the amplified roar, the lion's roar through the bell. Was hysterical. And then one of my next notes was, might as well be DBZ. Can sense bad guy's aura. Dude gets beat up, gets a sensu bean, and comes out as Super Saiyan.
Essentially, yeah, I saw that and I was like, yeah, that's the whole butterfly thing. And I was like, oh, he's a Super Saiyan.
Right? Yeah. Let's have some symbolism, but make it really obvious as a butterfly comes out of a cocoon and flies by. And not only is he healed, but he shaved and
Change clothes.
And change clothes. So then this is the last clip that I did.
Who knew the beast could clear the chi flow and thus unleash the boy's true potential? We should have guessed. He is the one.
Please capture "He is the one" and then a little bit of music after. We need that for this podcast.
That's it. And sometimes the music was either jazzy or kind of Asian-ish like that, like typical Hong Kong, whatever. And there was a couple moments that reminded me of The Matrix, which was really strange.
Yes, the music, especially at the final battle.
Yeah.
Really Matrix.
Okay.
There was definitely some computerish sounds in there.
Okay, I'm glad I wasn't the only one that kind of felt that, because I've said that about other things before, and all three of you are like, no idea what you're talking about. So at least it's on the same page, which is scary.
I don't want that.
Tropes, bad guy montage. The montage at the beginning of them doing bad things to the city. Quote unquote bad guy has a change of heart. Trope. I love that scene though, when he comes to save the day and he smashes him with that table leg, and then he punches him into the ground, and he's like, "You give up," and he reaches up with that little stick of poop right on his head. Punches him again. That's hysterical.
So I saw that scene and I thought, that is Chad. No, actually, sorry, that is Sam poking Sean.
Yeah, it's actually pretty accurate. Are you done, Sam?
Am I done with what?
Yeah, then you just flick me in the face. Yep.
Yeah.
Hire bad guys to kill bad guys. I already said that one. Push his friend away to save him trope. The weather knows things trope. And of course, the looks can be deceiving trope. Audible.com sponsored this fine podcast.
Really?
You can get your Audible, your free audiobook and a 30-day free trial. audibletrial.com/cheapseatreviews. Bruce Lee tribute. When the landlady is seated between the boss and his assistant, and she faces the boss, right, when she's in the limo, and she mimics the gestures Bruce Lee uses while also facing a crime boss in Return of the Dragon. She wags her finger at him and then closes both fists just the right while knuckles cracking can be heard. She jerks her head up, and the boss nods, he understands, and then she thumbs her nose, exactly like Bruce Lee. So,
okay. I was like, that seems familiar. I've never knew that.
Yeah.
I should probably read more. No, I'm not.
No, it's fine. Just watch more movies.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's what I do.
Did you say movies?
Yes.
Watch more movies. Yeah.
Okay. I came across a little muddled.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
What'd you think he said?
I thought he said boobies.
I thought so.
Well,
and yes, sir.
That too. In an August 2010 interview with GQ magazine, Bill Murray, of all people, praised Kung Fu Hustle, saying it is, quote, the supreme achievement of modern age in terms of comedy, and that, end quote, quote, there should have been a day of mourning for American comedy the day that movie came out, end quote. So
wow.
He obviously thought it was hysterical. I thought it was really funny, but I've also seen some other movies since then that I think are quite hilarious too. You know, Old School I think is pretty funny. So,
yes,
Frank the Tank.
You're my boy, Blue. As of 2005, I already said that one. I'll read it again. As of 2005, this film was the widest cinematic release of a foreign language film in the U.S. I didn't say that earlier. At one point, the landlord and his wife are seen through their window cha-cha dancing. This is a nod to Bruce Lee, who won the 1958 Hong Kong National Cha-Cha Championship.
Yes, I was aware of this.
I did not know that. It was not in the movie The Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. So if it's not in that movie, I don't know anything. I don't know.
You don't believe it?
No, I just don't know it. Because
okay.
that movie is pretty much all I've seen of Bruce Lee. He's not even in the movie, but I love that movie, as I will mention later.
Oh.
At one point, the landlord and his wife... I already said that. The Axe Gang resembles a similar gang that appear in The Legend of Drunken Master. Although, in that film, the Axe Gang plays a minor role. Both gangs feature similar clothing, weapons, and tendencies to fight in large numbers. There you go.
Okay.
Which I thought was great, because the first time I saw this movie, I was like, oh, it's the Axe Gang. It must be a thing, because it's also in Legend of Drunken Master. And then I realized it's just kind of a nod to that. So maybe that wasn't a thing. I don't know.
What about in Kill Bill? Didn't they have like a...
It was a gang, wasn't an Axe Gang.
Okay.
But they were all sword wielding, weren't they?
But they were all in black suits, weren't they?
I think they were, actually.
I don't know. Maybe it is a thing. I don't know. What do I know?
They're all men in black.
I thought Central Africa wasn't a real place, so I don't know anything.
You know nothing, Sean Allred.
That's right.
I can make stuff up too. Snorkel.
I can just say random words. Soundtrack grade. I was going to give this an MI for Matrix-ish. So there you go.
Impossible.
Yeah, Mission Impossible. That too. That's kind of was Mission Impossible. He had to fight a frog.
Yes.
And then he hopscotched off an eagle.
Which I died laughing.
He did. He actually.
Oh my god!
And the bird was just like, "Oh, who's that?"
Were you surprised? I was very surprised.
I was very surprised. What did we learn? Well, I learned that you can master the most kung fu ever with a 10-cent little book that you paid $10 for. That's what I learned. Top 3 kick flicks. I said. Oh wait. Oops. Sorry.
80-something episode.
92nd episode.
Oh.
92. Thank you for listening, Corny.
I don't.
Well, at least you're honest. I said kick flicks that's kind of the term that I use for just kind of martial arts in general. Because like maybe you wanted to do the Karate Kid. That's not kung fu. It's karate. So
Yes, it is.
You know that. Yes, it is what?
Karate Kid is kung fu.
The new one is kung fu.
There you go. You have to designate which one.
So are we doing kung fu? Are we doing martial arts? Or are we doing kick people in the face?
Whatever you'd like.
Whatever you like. Because
Okay, good.
honestly, when I came up with the idea for this top 3, I didn't know how many of you had seen a lot of kung fu movies. I've seen like 30 because I like those types of movies. I own like 10. So I didn't know how many of you guys had seen. So I guess Chad.
I am going to go with. Hold on a second. I had to cough. I'm going with.
Do you turn your head?
Turn and cough?
Yeah, turn and cough, yeah.
There you go. There's a callback.
I'm going with the Karate Kid.
Which one?
The original.
Okay.
With the lead.
With
Billy
Frank
Zappa.
Zappa. Not
Billy
Frank.
Zapka.
Billy Zapka, who's the actual Karate Kid.
That's the actual
Billy
Karate
Zapka
Kid,
is the actual Karate Kid, yeah.
I mean, Daniel, what is he?
It is kind of
he's a
funny.
bully.
It is legit that I saw this really great video where they took the movie and they mashed it up and made it look like Daniel is the bad guy. It's hilarious. You know, they put like different music to it, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, he kind of shows bully tendencies. You know.
Well, I mean, at the very end, I mean, you're not supposed to kick people in the face, and what did he do? He kicked them in the face.
He wins with a kick to the face. You're right. That movie is a total lie. That's why the new one is actually really good. The one with Jackie Chan.
Doggone it if I didn't lose that on my DVR switch. I watched half the movie and never got to
That's
the end.
another one that's on FX like every other weekend.
Oh, by the way it ends, Sam, is that some giant monsters come out of the ocean and then
that's Pacific Rim.
He
didn't know.
He doesn't know.
That was going to be next on the little on the button.
Thing from,
good.
From The Price is Right.
Yeah.
I will say this to Chad and have you seen it, Corny?
What?
The new Karate Kid?
Yeah. I watched it with you.
Oh, that's right.
You made me do it. I didn't want to.
It's genuinely good. Jaden Smith is an okay actor, but Jackie Chan actually shows real acting chops because he doesn't do really any kung fu in the movie at all. He is Mr. Miyagi, though he's not called that. He's Mr. Han, but he has like, and just like Mr. Miyagi, you know, in the movie he mourns his family who died in the war.
Yeah.
You know, Jackie Chan has his own demons that he's dealing with too. And there's a scene that I genuinely got kind of emotional at where Jackie Chan is telling his story, and it's kind of rough. And the movie is actually really good. So if you get a chance to
finish that one of these
it's
days,
actually really good. And I think James Horner did the score. So another
James
reason.
Horner.
Okay, so
Sorry, Chad.
going on
Totally
to
hijacked your
my one of the honorable mentions that I have, Enter the Dragon.
Okay.
I thought that was a really good flick, just because of the the bad clothes and the the bad haircuts really. Number 2, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my number 1 is anything with Chuck Norris in it, because.
Oh my God! Here it comes.
Please.
Oh no!
Was there supposed to be an audio thing happening?
No,
Chuck Norris can believe it's not butter.
I was going to throw a Chuck Norris thing in there.
Yeah, like Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups; he just pushes the earth down.
You know, Death had a near Chuck Norris experience.
Yes.
Yeah. Chuck Norris lost his virginity before his father. My favorite one though, I don't know the date exactly, but like Chuck Norris was born July 5th.
It's like May 6th, 1942, or is it what?
1945.
1945,
and then Germany surrendered May 7th, 1945. Coincidence? I think not. Yeah, that's actually my favorite. You know, Hitler was like, "Ooh, here he comes."
Look at that
I think my favorite one was when Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. He had 3 missed calls from Chuck Norris.
Right. That's a good one.
Chuck Norris died 20 years ago. Death just hasn't built up the courage to tell him yet.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's my.
We can do a show of these. I love those Chuck Norris things. They are so funny.
It's one of the reasons why I could never.
You know, he'd get a kick out of those too.
Oh, absolutely.
Chuck Norris is the reason why Waldo is hiding.
So did you guys see the it was a Volvo commercial with Jean-Claude Van Damme where he does the perfect split over the two trucks?
Yeah.
Well, the joke is that Chuck Norris is driving both trucks.
Yeah, I saw that.
Actually, I have a book of 400 Chuck Norrisisms. I should share that with you guys.
That's hysterical. Corny.
All right,
Chad, were you done? Yeah,
yes,
you
I'm
said
done.
anything with Chuck Norris. Okay, so that means the Expendables 2, right? Because
Does it have Chuck Norris in it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's terrible.
Did he roundhouse kick anybody?
No, actually, he just did Chuck Norrisisms for about 2 minutes.
He literally shows up, blows somebody up, and says, "I'm only here because I made a wrong left turn. I'm not actually going to help you guys." And then shows up later to help, and then leaves. Yeah. He literally
Because
was.
he can.
Yeah, it literally was like Stallone was like, "You want to be in this movie?" He goes, "Not really. I'm still doing workout videos with Jane Fonda." Okay, well, can you come over for like an afternoon? Okay,
Let me ask my mom. Hey, Mom, can I go?
Right.
Can I go Slides?
Can I go hang out with Sly and Bruce and Arnold and Terry Crews with his ridiculous shotgun?
Are you kidding? Chuck Norris doesn't ask permission from anybody.
That's true. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Chuck. Please don't come for me.
Right. Corny.
All right. So, funny side note. Several years ago, I used to dedicate like an entire month to Chuck Norrisisms. Like I would change my profile to Chuck Norris and then just put random Chuck Norrisisms for an entire month. People hated it. So, my wife in particular. So
you did it anyway.
Oh yeah,
I know how you
did. So my number 3 is going to be Drunken Master, Jackie Chan.
Drunken Master or Legend of Drunken Master?
Sorry, Legend of Drunken Master.
Because there's 2.
Sorry.
Okay.
Number 2, I'm going to go with Enter the Dragon. Just 'cause
You are the last dragon.
Speaking of which, as my honorable mention before my number 1, I watched that movie so much as a kid, and it's so terrible. That's a movie we should do for the podcast, The Last Dragon.
All right.
With Bruce Leroy as the main character.
Yes. Whenever it gets streaming, I'll do it. We'll do it.
And then last but not least, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And yes, because of all the wonderful kick-flicking action.
But there is a lot.
Yeah. He punched someone so hard that they saw the curvature of the earth. That is almost one of that's probably my favorite line of the movie.
It's a pretty great line. Sam.
Well, a first caveat is that I haven't watched a whole lot of Kung Fu movies.
Right, that's fair.
So a lot of these are going to be reaching, I guess. So I've got an honorable mention for Rumble in the Bronx.
Yes, I'll allow it.
Because I love that movie. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it really is.
My number 3 is Karate Kid, the original. Only because I haven't gotten through the Kung Fu Kid.
Which is what it's called in the rest of the world, by the way.
My number 2 is Kill Bill.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
And my number 1 is Matrix.
Okay.
Just because I just haven't seen a lot of Kung Fu. And I'm feeling like there's some out there that are probably on my list of shame. I just don't know it yet. Does that make sense?
No, well, yeah,
Like,
that's fair.
Pretty much most of the Bruce Lee movies. Enter the Dragon,
I've
the
actually
Chinese
never
Connection, that kind of thing,
Yeah, I've never seen all of Enter the Dragon. I've only ever seen like the last fight scene where he has to fight. Doesn't he fight Chuck Norris in that?
No, that's
the second one, right?
Oh damn!
Not the Return of the Dragon.
That might be Return of the Dragon. I forget. Anyway, but he fights a very, very hairy-chested Chuck Norris.
Yeah, he does.
Would Kung Fu Panda be?
Yeah.
The Way of the Dragon, maybe.
That's.
I'm looking. I'm trying to remember.
So, Kung Fu Dragon.
Yeah. That's the one.
Kung Fu Dragon.
That's the one with Chuck Norris. Is the Way of the Dragon.
Yeah, Chuck Norris is winning that fight for the first 5 to 6 minutes of it, and then it's the Bruce Lee film.
Bruce Lee does his thing. Yeah, I mean, he directed it.
Chuck was like, "I don't care if this is your movie. Yeah, I'm not gonna let you beat me up."
Right.
They had to shoot him with several rounds of elephant tranquilizers to give Bruce Lee a chance.
My turn.
No.
I'm gonna kind of steal Chad. Pretty much anything with Jackie Chan is gonna be my honorable mention. I love his style. I love the comedy. I like the Rush Hour movies, mainly the first one, but the second one's all right too. The third one kind of sucks.
Around the World and
Yeah, a lot of those cartoony ones when he got with
Nice.
Disney, I wasn't really a big fan of. But I mean, even that dumb one with Owen Wilson, Shanghai Nights or Shanghai Noon.
And Shanghai Night.
I didn't see the second one. I only saw the first one, and then it was actually, and it's fun, you know. I mean, he's still doing in that movie. He's like 50, and he's still doing amazing stunts. He always does his own stunts. No insurance company likes working with him. In Rumble in the Bronx, Sam, if you've seen that one, there's a
he
scene,
broke his leg
broke
or
his
foot or
foot,
something.
and so he
Yeah.
does a third of the movie with a cast on his foot, and they just made a fake tennis shoe to put over his foot. I mean, it's just the way the dude is. He's just incredible, and so,
He's like the Chinese version of Tom Cruise.
You know, we almost made an entire episode without you doing a Samism, and it just happened.
yeah. I think you're wrong, but because Tom Cruise, though,
He does all his stunts.
Yeah, he does a lot of his own stunts, but Tom Cruise, I think, actually,
Yeah, he didn't jump from a building to another building.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did all those scenes in the fourth Mission Impossible, but he was very, very harnessed.
Yeah.
You know, like Jackie Chan's like, I'm gonna actually jump from this bridge onto a boat and then break my foot in the process.
Yeah.
Or the one where he jumps from the roof to the
to the fire escape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you only get one shot because if you miss, you're gonna break a lot of things. I was just thinking of another one. I guess maybe I don't know because I like so many of these types of movies. I mean, heck, you can might even throw in the Bourne Identity movies.
Yeah, oh, that's definitely
that's kind of that's martial arty. The Forbidden Kingdom is my number 3. It's the first and only that I'm aware of movie where Jackie Chan and Jet Li are in the same movie.
Oh wow!
And they fight each other, and it's awesome. The Forbidden Kingdom is an old Chinese kind of proverb story about he was called the Monkey King, and then this evil Jade Emperor comes in and takes over the kingdom, whatever, and then they have to have the help of an outsider who comes in, and it just in this movie it's an American kid. I can't remember his name. He's not a very good actor, but
Brendan Fraser.
I wish. No, he's a kid. He's like 17 or
kidding.
16 or whatever.
You said bad actor, so
He played Jack's son in Will and Grace. I don't know his name. Anyway,
Jack Jr.
But Forbidden Kingdom, there's like some really, really great kung fu happening in that, especially because Jackie Chan plays a monk who he does drunken boxing. That's all he does is drunken boxing. Like that's part of like his persona is that he's always has to be drunk. Which leads me to Legend of Drunken Master, another Jackie Chan movie, but that movie is flippin' awesome. And it's streaming. If it's not overdubbed, I don't know if I want to do it for the podcast, but it's some of the best martial arts I've ever seen. It's just amazing what he does in that movie. And watching him do drunken boxing is just it's art. I don't know how to describe it. I know I sound weird, but whatever. And then my number 1, just because I really like the movie a lot. Not just, I mean, the Kung Fu is pretty good, or the martial arts is pretty good. But Dragon, a Bruce Lee story, the movie about Bruce Lee. And it stars, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was the guy who played Mowgli in the live action version of The Jungle Book.
Joe Pesci.
It's not his name.
No, sure.
I'm pretty sure that's not his name.
It might be.
Jason Scott Lee is his name. And Lauren Holly is his wife.
Oh.
And she's really hot in that movie. Anyway, it's a good movie. I like that movie a lot. It's one of my favorites. And he's awesome in it. And it just watching that movie makes you sad for Bruce Lee dying as early as he did in his life, and how he got screwed out of a role in a movie or a TV show because he was Asian. He was supposed to be, the TV show Kung Fu, where the guy travels the world looking for his lost brother.
Oh, David Carradine with
that was supposed to be Bruce Lee.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
But they wouldn't do the show because he was Asian.
Oh.
In fact, the only TV show he ever did, if you remember, was The Green Hornet.
And
he had to wear
the big famous fight scene between him and Robin from Batman,
right.
And Bruce Lee ended up beating Burt Ward's ass.
Well, there's a scene in the movie, in Dragon, the Bruce Lee movie, where he's playing Kato, right? And this is the first time he's on set. And so his the scene is the Green Hornet is trapped in his chair, right? And the Dr. Evil, what's his face, has got a whatever thing, right? And so Bruce, he's just supposed to come in the door, and he's supposed to run down the stairs and then do a fake punch at the guy and then untie him, right? He comes in, there's a couple of henchmen up there. He go up and he actually punches them both in the face and then fall down. He kicks the guardrail, breaks it, jumps, there's a pole. He slides down the pole. He chases after the doctor, who is genuinely terrified at this point, and runs away. And the whole time the actor keeps trying to say his line. He keeps saying, "Thanks, Kato," but Kato keeps doing all these scenes. He's like, "Thanks, Kato," and then he runs by him and punches somebody else. "Thanks, Kato," and then he finally runs over to untie him. "Thanks, Kato," and then they untie him and then they just stop. And the director's jaw is on the floor. And then some guy has to tap him. He's like, "Oh, cut." And so that's when they got to see what he was. It's a really great. I hope that story is real. I want that to be real.
They do a R version where you just hear the screams of people as Bruce Lee kills them.
No.
God, why?
I know, but the poor extras probably didn't know that he was going to come in and punch them. It was really funny. I mean, the guy that was playing the evil doctor, he ran away. He runs away. After the show, I'm actually going to go YouTube that scene so Corny can see it. It's great. Anyway, that's my top 3. And I think that's kind of our show, right? Oh, we have an email real quick.
Oh, do you? Who do you know?
Yeah, this comes from...
And thank you for your emails, folks.
Yeah, we love reading them and whatever. And
unless it's from AOL. Sorry.
Unless it's from AOL. That's not real.
No, not from AOL. Just from AOL.
Just from AOL in general?
Yeah.
The worst ones they kill me is I get an alert, "Ooh, you've got mail," and then I look in, I'm like, I don't care that someone signed in from their MacBook, Google. Damn it. All right. This is from our buddy Andrew.
What's up, Andrew?
Hi, Andrew.
Andrew,
but not the Andrew that
lives
on,
with Corny. Right? No, not that Andrew. Not Andrew Jemison. Masters of the Universe is the title of his email. So, from the sound of the podcast, I take it that no one watched the after credits scene, which isn't true. Actually, I did. And then
you told us.
And then I told you guys, and then you all did. I'll be back. Yeah, he comes out of the fake blood water and says, "I'll be back." It was a bad scene. Also, to correct Cornelius, he emailed in just to correct you, pal.
Good.
Also, to correct Cornelius, Bumblebee does not die in the 86 animated movie. He gets eaten while on the moon base, but saved at the end of the movie.
Oh, that's right. I'm so sorry. You're 100% correct.
All right, there you go. Apparently, that really bothered him that you were wrong about that.
Sorry. In my mind, as soon as he's gone inside the thing, he's dead.
No.
I know he's not, but
he's a car.
He's not just a car. He's actually just a car. I'm sorry.
Chad wins this episode because of his soundboard. That was funny.
Oh.
Woot woot.
Sam, you
don't have a sound for that?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
You suck.
I had to.
Yeah.
I am ashamed.
Yeah, but he does have this.
With the power of Grayskull.
I will figure it out, and I will be back next week with more power and more sounds that will cause chaos to reign supreme.
Do you have a cape on right now, Chad? I'm just curious.
No capes.
Oh,
I never look back, darling.
No, I was always in the now.
Ciao.
I do not like you.
Sorry. Anyway, that's it. Next, right?
So what are we going to rank these movies?
Oh yeah, out of 10. I always forget that. Why do I forget that? I literally have it written right here in my script. Out of 10.
He does. He really does.
Chad, out of 10.
Out of 10, I'm going to give this 8.5.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, I gotta write these down. 8.5.
Okay.
Nice. Corny.
I'm going to give this 7 frog legs out of 10.
Oh, tastes like chicken.
Oh, it's got to taste like chicken. Okay, I see how it is. Burn his house down.
Sam.
Make me eat some chicken.
I'm going to give this.
You want some chicken?
I do actually.
Let's do 7 dead guys in a barrel with a broken back out of 10.
There's only one. How dare you, sir?
Okay. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I like this movie a lot.
So much fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
I'd watch this again.
I'm gonna say 8 knives to the arm as a rearview mirror out of 10. I like this movie a lot. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time with it. Is it a great movie? I don't know if I could use that phrase, great movie, but it's just damn fun. And even though I had to read the whole time and do those painful overdubs,
it never got the reading never got in the way. I guess it's one of the things. Like when we did 13 Assassins, that would never aired, right?
No, we did that.
Okay,
our 4th episode. Yeah.
Oh, good God. The reading got in the way of what was going on, and I think that made it far more difficult.
Yeah, maybe.
I think he only talked when there was no action going on.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, there was some of that. There was also a lot of dialogue in that movie. A lot of dialogue. I think there was just less of it. It was more of him just being silly, So, anyway, that's it. That's our movie. We are doing.
Do we watch it next week?
We are doing, assuming it's still streaming. I mean, who knows these days with Netflix and their kind of shenanigans. Ooh,
God.
Somebody okay?
Ouch.
Sam is dead. I'm okay.
I'm okay. Seriously, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I'm literally double checking to make sure that it's streaming.
Yep, it's still there. I get you.
It's still there. All right. Witness with the Harrison Ford 1985's Witness.
Or Witnesses, or The Witness.
Witness with the girl from
Who's it?
The movie. There you go. So that's what we're doing. Sorry. Like it's on Facebook, facebook.com/CheapSeat Reviews. You can visit our website, CheapSeatReviews.com. You may follow us on Twitter, if you want, at CheapSeatCast. I am at Sean J. Allred. Saniji16 is Sam. Johnny Darko16 is Corny. At Maestro_Evans is Chad.
But I'll never check it.
You can leave us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. We like those as well. Please send us your emails, cheapseatreviews@gmail.com. We will, of course, read them on air. And, you can make fun of us. We don't care. Clearly, we don't care. We have no self-esteem or whatever. So that's going to do it. So on behalf of Corny, Chad, Sean, I'm Sean, Sam, this is Sean saying good night. Thanks for listening. And, whatever.